Oh, that is smooth. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's really smooth. All right, listen, if you're catching this live, I want to promise you all that this is only my second time going live on YouTube. But I wanted to come on one because YouTube has this really nice feature that even when you go live, they will leave um the video is going to stay up. So I'm really actually excited about that. And also, too, I just wanted to thank everyone. A lot of different people have been subscribing. I think we are actually up to 201 subscribers on this channel. And for someone like me who doesn't actually post enough here to YouTube, I just want to tell you guys and gals, men and women, whoever is, here, I want to tell you all thank you. A lot of people have been responding to a specific video. Um, and I've been trying to respond to all of the comments on that video. Let me actually move this down here. Yep, there we go. That way, if I get any comments, I can see them. Okay, perfect. But yeah, you guys have been responding to a very specific video. And I've tried to be transparent. You try to like put your story out there. Everybody's got like a story, how they got to where they are. And so I've tried to put my story out there as well, like most people do. And I actually can pull this up right here. Perfect. Yeah, it's a whole production in the background. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you for the this came. Oh, thank you. One thing I'll tell you guys for sure, whatever it is you're doing in this life, do it with other people. We do so much better when we walk through this life with different people. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about my mother's journey, about my space. And I just want to tell you all so much, or tell you guys, or to let you in for those who want to get a sneak into my journey. I do have ambitions to get here onto YouTube more and to talk more and to share more. I literally earlier this year completed a master's program in acupuncture. And so it's been really, really overwhelming. It is an amazing program. It's one that I'm really happy to add on. Oh, for you guys who are watching live, does this sound and look okay? I should have probably did my mic sounds nice. Can I get a sound check and a camera check? Tell me if the sound is sounding and is the camera Cameron? I know there's a couple of you all who are watching, literally a couple. But if you guys can just let me know, thank you so much. Because what's the point of doing a whole video if you don't sound and look good? But I just finished up an acupuncture program, and anyone who has done any master's program, how you already know how hard grad school can be. But it's been even more with this particular program, learning because it's a medical program. But for me, it was important to go through it because the thing that I wanted to actually talk about tonight in this live, and I will continue to add, is kind of like why chronic illness isn't just in your head. Sometimes I'll hear, quite often from people, oh, well, they said that I was fine. They said that I was okay. And don't get me wrong, based upon the test tools that they have access to, you were fine. You were okay. You were all the things that they said. But it's kind of like we got to add more tools to the toolbox, right? We have to have some different barriers for um, diagnosing. And so that's why I'm really happy to be on the other side of this Eastern medicine program because now I have like all these tools available to me to use to help with diagnosing, to help with treating, to help to support, our bodies. And I mean our bodies, us. I will work with any patient, but I'm uber grateful to work with people who were like my mother, who looked like her, who sound like her. And I say looked and sound past tense because for those of you all who don't know, my mom has been gone now almost 18 years. And I'm able to track that date so adequately because unfortunately her death and my marriage were running neck and neck. And so it's an unfortunate kind of like, oh, reminder, like, oh, you've been married almost 18 years. Oh, she's been gone almost 18 years. And there were things going on with her that, like, as she began to deteriorate, I think that those things were able to be seen and diagnosed. But that's kind of how it always is, right? Once things start to get terrible, it's real easy to say it doesn't look good or the outcome is going to be like really bad. But it's like one of the things that I found with learning all this Eastern medicine is that in Eastern medicine for me, although mine is like Chinese medicine, I believe in Chinese medicine. I believe in Ayurvedic, which is more indicative to like India. I believe in ancestral medicine that would have been indicative to the continent of Africa and the different countries there. Those of us, who represent the diaspora, I think that we have tools that are overlooked, that haven't been studied. They're not a part of peer reviews. And so it's been a part of my like professional and personal like aspirations to learn those things and to build those things. And so yeah, thank you guys who are watching, and kudos to you all who have subscribed to the channel. I will get on here more frequently. I do apologize. Like I was saying earlier in this conversation, I'm on the other side of a graduate program, and it was tough, but as my energy and my own vitality, because you got to honor those things, right? Chronic illness isn't just in your head. When something's going on and it can't be seen on a test, they run all the panels, they do all the blood tests, they do all the things. That is not the be all end all of like what is or what isn't happening in the body. It just means that you yourself as a patient have to look at other professionals to get information from. When you keep going to the doctor, or I'm going to get a second opinion and no one can tell me what's going on, try different medicine avenues of medicine, because there's biomed, there's Eastern medicine, there's Ayurveda, there's other things that you can do. And the more you explore the different things, the more you might be able to get those answers. And obviously, we all have that responsibility to turn on our listening, see what's going on with our body, how we can improve things as well. Um, I think, with my mother, there's a lot of things that she herself probably overlooked. Um, that she didn't know to look for. And I think that's just like an educational gap, right? Sometimes we don't realize that, like, oh, I just get this headache, or oh, I'm just tired, or oh, is it like a one off thing? I always tell people, is this thing acute or is it chronic? Because when it's like chronic, like I'm always this or I'm always that, I'm always tired, I always get a headache, I always have this digestive issue. Those are the things that, like, nah, I don't think you can kind of keep ignoring those things, right? And I don't care. I don't care if you take a test somewhere or get a stool sample, or they take your blood and they tell you, like, oh, you're good, because you know your body more than anyone. And maybe you've never been empowered in that way. Maybe no one's ever told you that, like, you have more control and onus. And that's really because you have ultimately the stewardship of your body. And so, and I think about how her liver disease progressed, and then, of course, it eventually led to her passing. And in such a crazy way, they don't really teach us. And I say they in the sense of like if you've gone through a school system, and we don't really, we do some health, we do some science, but we don't really do a whole bunch. And we don't learn enough about our bodies. So how can we tell about the signs? And then on the flip side, when you have some sort of organ failure, you get put into another system. You have a system that we're undereducated on. And then that same system is also telling, thank you for the I'm getting used to YouTube. Thank you. I can see you over there commenting. Um, you also have a system that will then put you on like a transplant list. And that's what happened with my mother. She got put on a transplant list, and in not so many words, she did not fit the criteria for a transplant recipient. And I won't drag the institution or the hospital in Baltimore, Maryland, where she was, but I remember they had a conversation with us where they told us that she the insurance that she had, government insurance, right? The insurance that she had would only cover her surgery, but it wouldn't cover the post-op, so they could not prioritize her as a organ recipient. And you know how you watch all these shows, pick one of your pick your favorite medical hospital show, right? And there's that doctor who was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna I'm going to advocate for my patient. I'm going to go to the board. I'm going." Where were these people at? Because I watched a set of people watch my mama just deteriorate because she didn't have the funds that made her a recipient. So yeah, maybe that was her fault, right? Her fault for being a single mother, her fault for being an immigrant, you know? Who knows, right? Um, but they and one of the struggles that I know I've had, and I don't have an answer to this one, I have a lot of answers, I'm a practitioner and I see patients. I don't really have an answer of like, was it her time or was it their fault? You kind of battle those things when someone gets sick. You're trying to figure out, well, was it God's timing or was it a situation where she was abused by a system that doesn't is not really designed to serve people? I don't know, right? What I have done with that energy is rather than live in that space of like what it is, what it ain't, could it be, could it not, is I have said, you know what can I do? A, for me first, because I think, and I'll tell you this, anyone you're working with, whether it's biomed, alternative medicine, Eastern medicine, I don't care. If they themselves, if they're not taking care of themselves, they don't have someone that they go see, they don't steward their own health and wellness, run, and that's like that whole like, I go to the doctor and they sitting outside, smoking a cigarette. I love being transparent. I think that we overcome by the word of our testimony, right? I might have read that somewhere. Um, so we don't have to be honest, but I think honesty puts us in a good place to really be more impactful. And so I will tell you, again, chronic illness isn't just in your head. If no one can figure out where you've been, I'm going to ask you, where have you been? And who else have you considered making a part of your wellness team so that they can support these things that you're feeling? Those things that are like, the disc before there's a firm disease, those discomforts, right? Things that just don't feel right. Let's go see someone else, y'all. Okay. Um, a couple other things I want to touch on. And yes, I do have notes because you get on these lives and you're like, I have like 17 things I want to say, but there's three things I wanted to hone in, just before I jump off. Not rushing. And again, thank you for you all who are watching live. And for those who may catch this when it's up here and you're just participating in that way, thank you all as well. Okay. But there's a misunderstanding between the mind body connection. And again, not I've had years, 18 of them, to think on these things. And even before I was learning about Eastern medicine, I knew that if you've grown up in a home with, parents who were just trying to make it work, make it do what it do, you know that there's certain emotions that can evoke, from sadness to fear to anger. And when you experience these different emotions, there are physical manifestations of them. For those of you all, and there's tons of people who are probably more well versed than me, who you can go look a little bit more. And I actually have a couple of creators on here that I actually can link in the comments if you're like, oh, I do want to dig a little bit deeper into the emotional connection from an Eastern medicine standpoint. But things like anger can disrupt the liver. My mother had lots of reasons to be angry. Things that aren't necessarily related to her, but that can impact other parts of the body. Excessive, joy, which can lead to mania, can disturb and hurt the heart. Um, Things like sadness and grief, those can hurt your lungs, those can hurt your digestion, like your large intestine. Things like fear is a connection to your kidneys. And again, these are Eastern medicine mythologies. And so it's like, well, I've never heard that before. Well, you're hearing it today, and maybe you'll hear it somewhere else. Especially if you're watching this video, maybe it'll bring some other ones to your feed while you're looking. You got to pick, like, what am I going to do? Like, do I want to pursue biomed, Eastern med? Do I want to do this? You got to figure out, and you're free to pivot. If you're doing something and it's serving your health and you feel good, you're resting well, your digestion's good, you're sleeping, for women, your menstruals are good, then Okay, keep doing that. But I liked learning a different form of medicine because there's a whole set of people where this current setup just isn't working. It's not working. It's not working. And again, your chronic illness is not just in your head. So we know that there's too many instances of went to medication, went to surgery too soon, or the I feel this way, but they're not necessarily um, hearing me, or they're saying nothing's wrong. And I'm just like, oh, one of my biggest joys that I've seen when I'm working with a patient is that no one heard them or they couldn't figure out something and they come see me and we just introduce something new. It doesn't make me the queen of knowing anything. I might be the princess of a few things, but not the queen of knowing everything. But then we just introduce something new to the body, and then all of a sudden the body's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that I could do that. I didn't even know that that would work. Like, oh my gosh, this is just like so super amazing. That for me, that's powerful. That's awesome. That's amazing. Um, I think dismissal can harm patients, and especially, I think Black patients, people of color. I think are disproportionately, dismissed in places. Some of that's just built into the system. When you have a system that's built by a certain set of people and set to serve a certain set of people, it's not going to serve everybody. And so, one of the things that I'm very grateful for, even though through a lot of my training, I've had a lot of, professors and people who supervised me in like clinical environments who didn't look like me. I'm also able to take a medicine that I've studied and bring it to people who look and sound like me, and like I mentioned earlier, who look and sound like my mother. And I think that that is just that just tracks heavy with me for what I want to be doing. And so if you feel like you have been dismissed in environments, yeah, sometimes it's like, yeah, raise the roost, raise some hell, right? Get loud with it. I mean, you can, but I would caution you on how much energy you allow in the raising and the giving, because it's like when it kind of switches over from like I'm advocating to myself to now I'm depleting myself in the name of like speaking up. Yo, just go find somebody that looks like you and who can support you. Because it's like how much, if you're on the cusp of like not feeling good to maybe getting a chronic illness to like or you already have a full out blown chronic illness, I'm gonna tell you, be easy with your energy, be easy with yourself and with your energy. I'm like, you know what, I bet, or what, I'm like what the kids say. I'm at that auntie age. I was like, well, what the kids say less. I'm out of here. There's too many of us, and I'm not saying that everyone's my patient because I'm not everyone's practitioner, I'm not everyone's acupuncturist. But I will tell you that you need to go find the people where you don't have to fight this hard. Because if I'm having a fight, something me and my best friend always say, like, everything ain't got to be hard. Everything does not have to be hard. I'm not going to the doctor. I'm not going to my practitioner where I'm supposed to be heard and cared for and getting support and having to fight. That is crazy. And I know there's so many stories like, oh, well, I had to fight or I had to ask for the chief of this and I had to. Sometimes I guess you will, if you're in a situation where like you can't move or you can't get out of it. But in our day to day, like when we're like looking for a practitioner or looking for somebody to work with or looking for somewhere to be, there's too many options. And I think that's something too that I want to use my platform for is not only to push, my own practice and how I can support people and to continue to share my mother's story, but also I'm hoping to share resources here as well because I just don't feel like everything has to be hard. Um, so one of the things for sure, yeah, everything doesn't have to be hard, exactly. Watching my mom navigate this and, it's this is a tough thing and it's my reality. A lot of parts of my reality are tough. So I would say, if you can't handle tough, check out right now. I'm giving you a couple of moments to check out. Take a deep breath. That's also another thing. We know about do something tough. Just watching my mother navigate her illness, which led to her death at 56, it has put me on this mission to do the work that I'm doing. I can't even say that, like, when I was a child, like, oh, I wanted to be in medicine or I wanted to be a doctor or a nurse. And thank you to the doctors and the nurses who are out here doing God's work. I actually wanted to teach English. I wanted to, all my English teachers, none of them look like me. So I was like, no, I'm gonna teach English. Then I'm gonna get my master's degree and I'm gonna teach on the collegiate level. And I wanted to teach, and here I am. I still feel like I teach as a practitioner, but I am a practitioner because I watched my mother, suffer with chronic illness. And I just want to make sure that other people are well. So again, thank you for you all, first of all, who have watched this for this whole 20 minutes. Thank you for you all who have subscribed to the channel. I don't have a schedule yet of when I'm going to go live. And I know everything on YouTube is like, click the bell, but I'm going to ask you to click the bell. I don't have any little cutesy things in the middle of my video to say, click here and do this. I'll get a team one day that does those things. Just know that I'm a child of two immigrants. I am someone who has walked a lot of patients through disease, through discomforts. I am an advocate. I am educated, and I will support you and your family. So I'm looking at the comments, y'all. I'm responding to you all. I'm going to come over here to YouTube more. And I thank you all for your patience. I thank you all for your support. I can't even begin to tell you how encouraged I get every time I see a comment on here. You know how that is, like you're doing like the thing that, you believe that you've been given to do. And then people come like alongside you and they're holding you up on your left and your right. It is like, it's everything. So I just want to thank you all for your support. And I will be back, hopefully, in a couple days on here. And until then, peace and blessings, and I will catch you all next time.